Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over to the speaker. Set it on top. Microphone on speaker. One, two, testing audio for live stream.
Well, let's go ahead and put our hands together for the absolute quality of exhibitors and livestock out here. It's tremendous. I think now that we've kind of gotten to the last market show of the weekend, it's certainly been a pleasure to be out here and to sort through your livestock and your young people. You never really know exactly what you're going to get into at the county fair in terms of quality and numbers, but unless you kind of just heard about the fair. But I think this one has been one to remember for a very, very long time. I think the quality from top to bottom all the way through has been absolutely tremendous. The young people have been incredibly good, and the people that you have organizing the show, the ring house, everybody that's putting it together has done an absolutely incredible job. Let's give everybody that's kind of helped put this show on together a big round of applause. I'm not one for just a whole lot of real big speeches. I will kind of make just a little short one. I think throughout my time in 4-H and FFA, there were a couple things that really came to mind in terms of that I got out of the programs, and not just purple ribbons and belt buckles, but I think the three big things are hard work, accountability, and leadership. Those are three things that we just don't see in abundance of in today's society, especially with young people leaving college and getting out into the workforce, except when we find those that were involved in 4-H and FFA programs. I think it's even more apparent now that people are just willing to work harder, that come from good backgrounds, that come from the livestock industry, and so it's really, really hard for me to put a dollar figure on just how important this program was to me. And it's really hard to put that same dollar figure on what it does for these young people and how it prepares them to be very, very beneficial and contributing members of society. Here showing support for friends and family. You guys have all invested time and money into these young people and helping them turn into great young leaders for the next generation. So give yourselves all a big round of applause. I can tell there's a tremendous amount of support for this community. And so, with that being said, we'll kind of get back to talking some livestock. I think there's a tremendous amount of quality top to bottom. The numbers have definitely been there for this show. I think the young people are doing just an absolute superb job. Going to be winners today, but I think ones that can definitely be extremely competitive at the next level, at state or national levels. That's just a real good testament to the programs that are in this area and to what these young people are doing. Just to kind of walk through the few that really stick out in my mind as being contenders in this show today. No particular order. I think just to kind of go down the line, that third place or that third class winner, I think that's a calf that definitely offers a tremendous amount of good. That calf definitely is incredibly good from a balance and structure standpoint. You get your hands on him, and even for being at kind of a lighter weight, he's still optimal in terms of fat cover. Maybe not just the most explosive in terms of power and muscle shape out here like some others, but I think that's just a very, very solid, very nice calf. Young ladies black and white steer out of that next division. I think that's a calf that offers some pretty next level elite pieces. This calf is tremendous in terms of every view that I get from him. That one is elite in terms of the more impressive there in terms of how fluid like he is off of both ends. Then you put your hands on him, and that's one that you just really can't pick a hole in, and one that will definitely stick in my mind from a shapeliness, expressive, and freshness standpoint. That calf does a lot of things really, really well. Young man steer out of that, I believe it'd be sixth class. I think that's a calf that offers some really cool pieces from a carcass standpoint. That calf is incredibly powerful when you get right behind him. Really, really smooth and shapely over his top side, and one that's still very optimal in terms of finish. He's attractive in terms of his hip and hind leg on the standstill, but maybe a calf that we'd like to fix just a few things in regards to structure when we set him in motion. Young ladies Hereford steer that comes out of that following class, I think a calf that is just tremendous given the breed character in terms of his look and his balance on the profile. You put your hands on that calf, and I'm even more impressed just by how massive and shapely he is right there behind his shoulders. That calf is extremely fresh and really, really good from a fat cover standpoint. That calf is one that's just really, really hard to poke a hole in. maybe doesn't have some of the super extras in terms of super neat and tidy front third. Maybe he's not just the biggest in terms of foot and bone out here, but that's getting really, really nitpicky on a calf that does a lot of things really, really well. Young ladies flag steer out of that next class. I think a calf that's just incredibly dense. This calf is tremendously bold and dimensional in terms of center body. He's massive in terms of foot and bone at the ground, and you get behind him, and that calf is really, really wide over his rib and loin, all the way back into his pin set. That one is incredibly smooth to the touch as well, and a calf that I think balances extremely well on the profile. Maybe a calf that's just a little bit rounder in the build to his hip, maybe wants to kind of scoop his rear legs underneath of himself a little much for my liking, but again, really, really nitpicky on a calf that's just incredibly good, and one that the young lady's done an incredible job of feeding and getting to this point. Those are kind of the ones that stick in my mind. If we get a reserve, if we get a second place back out here, we'll definitely keep them in contention. But with that being said, thanks for having me out. I'll go select your champion and reserve steer.
Your 2022 Sheridan County Fair Champion Market Beef goes to Lily Hancock. We need Cade Fraley from class number 4. Your reserve champion is Win West, class number 7. We will now be doing the Sheridan County Bred and Fed. If you have a Sheridan County Bred and Fed steer, we will be entering the ring momentarily following Sheridan County Bred and Fed showmanship competition.
All three of them did good. We went Friday and watched one, and he won ultrasound and ultrasound. Really? Good job, Lynn. Broke the right. Hey, how's it going? All right. Yes. This guy?